Good evening, everyone. We're happy that you're here with us. This is another rare and precious opportunity to be together and practice the Dharma, to slow down from our very busy lives, and to support one another, to nourish the natural wisdom and compassion within us. So tonight we'll follow our usual schedule, which is that we will do some calm abiding together, perhaps with some flavor of insight, meditation with it. And then we'll have a break and hopefully get to know each other a little better. And then we will have a question and answer period in the last 45 minutes to an hour. So we hope you're able to stay for all of that. So almost every time that a Kagyu teacher sits down and talks about the path to enlightenment, they refer to the four thoughts that turn the mind. So turn the mind away from what could be called our worldly concerns, what we spend most of our time on, which have a lot to do with our own personal pleasure, our own personal avoidance of unpleasant things, our own personal accomplishments, and rather turn toward the teachings of the Dharma. So those four thoughts, the first one being looking at our amazing circumstances. And I don't know about your experience, but I don't often feel I have amazing circumstances. So I have to really focus on that. But when I do, I can see them. The 10 freedoms and the 8 fortunes, they're called. And I've never memorized that list, but the freedoms are such things as freedom from extreme suffering so that we can focus on the Dharma. Freedom from all kinds of disabilities, like we can hear, we can see, we can think, we can move. Freedom from having to work like many, many people in the world do just to get food, water, clothing, take care of children, where there's not really even truly a minute of leisure time. And the freedom of being in a country where we can pursue the kind of faith practice that we choose without being harassed or having to hide it. So these are the kinds of freedoms and fortunes that are referred to. And we can see, if you simply thought of, all 7 billion people in the world, how many actually have all these conditions come together. And the great fortune of having met the Dharma, having met authentic teachers, and the great fortune of having an interest in it and the energy to pursue it, and more teachings than we can possibly even put into practice. So these all refer to the first thought, which is this precious human life. So we have it. And the idea of that is to then encourage us to use it well It's the metaphor is of a person standing in a pile of garbage holding a jewel in their hand and having some trouble recognizing it, maybe even in danger of throwing it away. So we don't want to be that. We want to see the jewel that we have in our hand. So that's the precious human life. And the second one is the nice words impermanence, but I like to just say contemplating our death. When I was 6 years old, I was in a very fundamental Catholic school, and the nun walked in all her black scary robes and said, everyone here will die. We were 6. It was like, wow, that was some news to me. And some will go to hell, and even your parents can't get you out. So that was a terror kind of, I think there was an idea that fear might drive us forward. Kind of did, but it wore out when we were 15. But this strong idea of, we are headed towards our death every moment closer, every step we take, every meal we eat, whatever we do, our death is absolutely certain, and the time of death is uncertain. And truly, what condition our consciousness will be in is uncertain. So this is an important contemplation because, again, it's reality, and secondly, it can urge us in a very realistic way to be careful about how we live our lives, care-filled, not filled with fear, but taking care. So that's the second thought that turns the mind. And the third thought is the thought of karma, which I want to talk a little bit more about, which really has to do simply with action and result. So before I go into that further, I think I'll mention the fourth thought, which is the sufferings of samsara, which is one I often talk about, but we'll save that for later. That the kind of mind, though, that grabs at things and pushes things away, most of the day we go toward something, we push something away. It's kind of an exhausting process, but this is what we do. And that's the suffering mind of samsara, never content, never at ease. But back to karma, I simply want to read from, again, some parts of this Dharma Friendship Foundation Lamrim class, Lamrim meaning the gradual path to enlightenment class, particularly on karma. And then we will, at the end of this, do our refuge and bodhicitta prayer and sit quietly. So this is an analytical contemplation. I set my mind upon reality. So another way to think about that is upon interdependence, the deep interdependence of myself with all others and all things with one another. I set my mind upon reality. May I gain confidence in cause and effect. May I understand that every thought and action sets in motion its result. Harm creates future suffering. Benefit creates happiness. May I stand firmly in my responsibility, knowing that I am creating myself and my future. May I never harm, take what is not given, or use sexuality to harm. May I avoid misleading others, cease harsh speech, refuse divisive talk. May I still meaningless chatter. May I quell my obsessive wanting, stop malicious thoughts, subdue cynicism, and subdue my intellectual arrogance. May I protect beings, give what I can, respect others' feelings, be truthful, point out their good qualities, speak gently and thoughtfully. May I rejoice in everyone's good fortune, think kindly of everyone, and cultivate realistic wisdom. And take a moment just to reflect on those words in your own life, and how when we act outside of ethical discipline, which is a hard but good word, we increase the suffering for ourselves and others. When we act within that, we increase the peace in the world. So this is not easy to do on a consistent basis, as each of you know quite well from your own lives. And that is why, over and over, we reflect on these prayers of refuge and bodhicitta. There's a certain humility required, a certain knowing that I don't really know how to do this consistently. I think I'm a very good person, but often I get reflected back to me that I've harmed someone with my quick wit, or my being clever, or my going too fast. Or sometimes I do it on purpose because I'm angry. So we need to turn toward models that function outside of this, and that is the Buddha, the awakened mind, the Dharma, the practices and teachings toward that awakened mind, and the Sangha, those who have realized the truth completely, and those who assist us towards that. And then, because luckily we're in a Mahayana path, we could have, through our karma, found some other path, but luckily we're in the Mahayana path, which always reminds us that we're not alone. Every single thought, word, and action we do affects others through this intense interdependence. And we acknowledge that by saying, may I be here tonight practicing calm abiding in order to bring my mind to a certain level of health, bring my mind to a level of reality that actually is beneficial for others. So let's do our refuge and bodhicitta prayer with those in mind.
Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness.
So this calm abiding is a foundational practice in, I'm pretty sure, every Buddhist lineage, because it's about taming down the mind, cooling it down, and being able to put the focus where you want and to keep it there, but with no stress, with no strain, in a very relaxed and open manner. It sets a foundation for eventually understanding the nature of the mind, which is too close for us to understand in a way. We complicate it, we add things that are unnecessary, but that's our habit from many lifetimes. So this calming down really sets us up for being able to look and to see more clearly what the nature of our mind is in many levels: the confused mind, the clear mind, the aware mind. So what we need to do is relax. So check in with your body. You can do a nice scan from head to toe, toe to head. Is there some part that's uncomfortable, stressed? You can make some adjustment and then let that go. Sometimes it's helpful to simply breathe into that part of the body. And then simply let it go. For most of us, it's quite helpful too to choose some object that you'll put your focus on and come back to over and over, for the reason that the mind will go off of it over and over. So most often the recommended object is the breath. Now, when I pay close attention, I usually see that the moment I come to the breath, there's a temptation to manipulate it, to make it shorter, longer. Just my very attention starts getting some kind of slight tension around it. So see if you can come to the breath at your nostrils or at your belly without that manipulation. And relax some more. So right now, there's no place to go, nothing to plan. There's nothing to remember. And there's no one to be. So for the next bit of time, and I will make sure we take a couple short stretch breaks, simply be aware of, as you can, where you're caught into memory, planning, dullness, excitement, whatever, and then very precisely and very gently and in a very relaxed manner, simply come back to your object of meditation with no judgment on yourself. So enjoy this rare and precious time together. take a stretch and refocus if you like. See what your mind is doing. Bring it back. Stretch if you need.
by this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
Thank you. I think that was helpful. So we're going to take a break, but we have some announcements. I think the biggest one is that on August 5th, we will be having our big celebration here, celebrating the new space. It's Saturday, and it's going to be from 12 to 6. And we will have several activities. Bake sale, and you can bake something and bring it, and you can see any of us at the break about these. Linda Logan is organizing that. There will be a Dharma book and object sale, so we can recycle our books and bring the ones you're done with and get some that someone else is done with. And this morning they said there will be other things there for the sale, pictures and I don't know what all, Dharma jewelry, malas, who knows, but fun. And then we will be having a sit-a-thon again. We did this last summer in the park at Grant Park, but we'll be doing it right out here in our tent. And you can be a sitter. You can sponsor a sitter. So the idea is that you get a few sponsors to, as Bill said this morning, have you sit down and shut up. Or people who might be excited to pay for you to stop talking. But you can, that might be a way to approach family, right? $25 each, I'll quit talking for an hour. So there will be packets for that, just like for, marathons, run-a-thons, walk-a-thons. And it was quite fun last year. I was sick, so I missed it, except for pictures online. But we'll be leading the meditations. So that's what I know. I'm sure there's lots of detail on the website. For people who might be newer, or just reminders for us who are less new, every Wednesday we do Chenrezig practice here from 7 to 8. It's very crisp. It's 1 hour, so you can carve that out and come. It's a practice that's led by people who are experienced at that. Often Bill comes, who's been doing that and leading questions about that at times. On the second and fourth Thursdays, we have mind training discussion with the book, The Essentials of Mind Training. So please feel free to come to those. What else do we have?
We have the Bodhisattva Vow.
Oh, yeah. When is that?
12th?
The 12th?
Wow, coming right up. The Bodhisattva Vow, August 12th. So that'll be given by Lama Michael. He'll do a talk on the Bodhisattva Vow and then give the Bodhisattva Vow. Online, I noticed if you're interested, go on there. There's a book that's suggested. So if you're, you have to have the Refuge Vow already. So, but if you're interested in taking the Bodhisattva Vow, you could talk to one of us, read that book, and if you already have the vow, please come and renew it. It's said to purify all the times that we've not been able to keep the vow, one of which is to never lose love toward any sentient being, even for a moment. So I have this vow.
Yes, I'm coming, I think.
We will be here. We need to renew it. I mean, who can do that, right? The Buddha. So that's just one of the Bodhisattva vows. Not holding wrong views is another one. But so please come and renew your Bodhisattva vow. It can strengthen it. And please register for that online. Cynthia.
So, Lama Michael wouldn't be giving the refuge before the vow this time?
Dora's shaking her head no. We just had refuge with Kempo Lodradonyo. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. What else?
Young adults group?
Young
First Friday.
Adults group, first Friday of every month here. A very lively, wonderful group of young adults. And if you think you are, you are. So I think I am, but I don't go. It's pretty much. Yeah, show up. Matthew comes and Holly leads it, so please come. And bring your questions about your practice. And let's go have tea. Okay. Look online. Oh, can we have tea and water now? We're getting used to the space, so I never know what we have yet. I do have a question though. Can you give us a little update on what's going to start happening in the basement? Like, we are going to have a basement someday with a community room and a kitchen and kids' room.
Yep.
That will happen.
Yeah, okay, that's the update. Thank you, Jeff and Bill.
And John.
And John, in process, okay.
Work in progress.
Yeah, and these are, Jeff and Bill and John are the ones that landed this beautiful space, so we know they can do it, and we know they're probably pretty tired. And others.
Besides, as a matter of fact, many of the people sitting here. The priority right at the moment is finishing conditions that allow us to pass final inspection, which allows us to occupy the building.
Oh,
Because we can't be here until then.
so we have a few details to deal with.
First thing.
Yeah, I think it's really good that we're really not here. We could have quite a discussion with them about how we are or aren't here. Okay, got it. Okay, if you have other questions, see Jeff or Bill or